It was a cold and windy evening when Jake, a single father of two, noticed the young woman huddled on a park bench, clutching two tiny infants in her arms. Her clothes were thin, her face pale, and her eyes filled with fear and desperation. Something about her stillness struck Jake. He'd seen that look before in the mirror, years ago, after losing his wife and becoming a father overnight. He parked his truck, approached slowly, and asked, "Are you okay?" The girl looked up, startled. "Please," she whispered. "I have nowhere else to go." Jake didn't think twice. He didn't care that the world would warn him against bringing a stranger home. He just saw a scared young mom and her shivering babies. "Let's get you warm," he said, gently helping her into the truck. The girls were no older than 6 months, bundled in mismatched blankets. The mother was barely more than a child herself, only 19, he later learned, and her name was Maya. Back at his small home, Jake made soup, lit the fireplace, and gave her space to breathe. His 8-year-old daughter, Emma, immediately took to the babies, fascinated by their tiny fingers and sleepy eyes. Maya stayed quiet that night, thanking him softly but never saying much. It wasn't until 2 days later, while folding laundry together, that she told her story. Maya had married young, too young, by her wealthy in-laws' standards. When her husband died in a car crash just months after the twins were born, his family blamed her for everything. They offered no help, no support, only a check and cold eyes. She refused the money, thinking love would bring her strength. But by the time she realized she was alone, she had nothing left. No home. No job. Just 2 babies and the hope that someone might still see her as human. Jake listened without judgment. He remembered his own sleepless nights, bouncing a newborn while trying to work 2 jobs, all while grieving. He'd survived because someone once offered him kindness, and now, maybe this was his turn to give it back. Life wasn't easy with 2 more mouths to feed. Jake already worked long shifts at the mechanic shop. His budget barely allowed for extras, and now diapers, formula, and medicine stretched his limits. But he never once asked Maya to leave. Instead, they formed a quiet rhythm. Jake worked days, Maya watched the kids. At night, they sat over tea, talking about dreams, fears, and pain they rarely shared with others. Maya began helping around the house. She cooked, cleaned, and helped Emma with homework. Slowly, she began to smile again. Her daughters, Hope and Hazel, started to laugh more, sleep better. Jake watched the house transform from a quiet, lonely space into a loud, chaotic, beautiful home. And through it all, Emma adored Maya, calling her our sunshine. Still, the outside world was harsh. Maya tried applying for jobs, but without an address, experience, or even a high school diploma, doors kept closing. Jake offered to help her study for her GED, and together they created a new goal: she would finish school, and he'd pick up extra weekend shifts. One day, while picking up groceries, Jake ran into one of Maya's former in-laws. The woman sneered at him, accusing Maya of trapping another man. Jake stared her down and said, "She didn't ask for help. I offered. Because that's what decent people do." Word spread, and soon, Maya's story reached a local journalist. The story went viral: single dad rescues young widow and her twins, a new family built on love. The response was overwhelming. Donations poured in. A community college offered Maya a scholarship. A local daycare provided free childcare. For the first time, Maya saw a future beyond survival. She enrolled in nursing classes and worked part-time as a caregiver. Jake was there for every exam, every milestone, every exhausted tear she shed late at night. Years passed. Emma, Hope, and Hazel grew up like sisters, fighting over toys, giggling over snacks, and drawing family portraits with 5 stick figures: Dad, Maya, me, Hope, Hazel. On Emma's 10th birthday, Maya gave her a scrapbook filled with memories, photos, notes, drawings, and a letter that ended with, "You made me believe in family again." One evening, as they watched the girls play in the yard, Maya turned to Jake and said, "I came into your life broken and lost, but you helped me become whole." Jake smiled, reaching for her hand. "You gave me something too," he said softly. "You brought life back into this house." They married a year later, not out of desperation or need, but because love had quietly bloomed where grief had once grown. Maya became more than the mother of twins Jake had once helped, she became the miracle he didn't know he needed. Moral of the story: sometimes, the family we build is far more powerful than the one we're born into. Love is not measured by blood or wealth, but by kindness, sacrifice, and the courage to stand by someone when the world turns its back.